Hi, so what we're going to start with today is setting up your student space. I mentioned the other day when I did a video that this may not be the most important thing to you at the moment. Maybe you're worrying about other issues. But the reason that we're starting here is because this is your student's environment. And as a behaviorist, environment is one of the three major areas we look at when we want to change behavior. So we're going to start here as a group with setting up the space and going over all aspects of that and making sure that at the very basic we have the environment all ready to go. I've chosen 9 areas for us to focus on. I highly recommend that you go through each and every one of these sections. I'm sure there will be something that you can learn from each section. So I'm going to go over them for you so you know what to expect. First, we're going to talk about which room the desk should be in, and that's going to have to do with what type of student you have and the best type of learning for them. Adjusting the desk in the space. The chair. Yes, the chair matters. We're going to be talking about types of chairs. Supplies at the desk, and also clutter around the desk. Whiteboard, pen, paper, or magnetic letters and numbers. We're going to be looking at those 3 different things depending on your student's ability level. Fidgets, they're not for everyone. How do we use them? Who shouldn't use them? Those sorts of things. Help boxes, those are going to save your life. We'll be talking about help boxes. Sign-in protocols. So this is going to be for the parents who keep having to show their child how to log on every single day. So this will save you every morning from having to do that. And then posting a schedule, which includes breaks, lunch, what to do between classes, and how to get your stuff done. Choosing a room might be tough because of space, how many children are already in the home, other variables I can't think of off the top of my head right now. So what I wanted to start with was, you may have a student who needs a lot of direction. They have a lot of questions. Maybe they're kind of a sneaky kid, tend to get off of their desk and go play, or might log on to video games or YouTube instead of doing their work. Maybe they're a younger student. This is the kind of student that you will either want, if you're a parent who's now, because of COVID, working from home, you may want your student in the same room with you so that you can answer all those questions and make sure that they get the support that they need, and also making sure they're doing their work. It also might be the room that you spend the most time in during the day. So maybe you've got small children, or you just tend to spend more time in like the living room. That might be a better place for that type of student. The other type of student might need help getting started, but they can focus afterwards. They academically may not need a whole lot of support from you because they're getting support from the teacher, and that seems to work for them. Maybe they can't do a lot of noise. Maybe it's somebody who can't focus and tends to turn around and yell at the other kids in the house, or want things to be quieter. And this could also be an older student. That might be a student you may put in their own bedroom if you can trust that they're going to get their stuff done. Maybe it's in an office where you also work, or where they can work when you're not there. So you really want to choose that space based on those types of things. And the direction of the desk in the space is important, not just for safety, but it'll help support learning also. So I'm going to talk about 2 different types of students again, like I did earlier. You may have one student who can't focus when there's other people in the room moving around. They may not be able to focus very well with the TV on. Maybe they're always trying to watch whatever's on the TV screen or watch what other people are doing. Again, this might be your sneaky kiddo who's trying to get on YouTube or do things on the computer that are unsafe. So there's the safety piece. You might not know what they're doing online. So these are the students you want their back to you. You want the computer screen facing you in whatever space you're in. That way, they're not having to look around the room and see what's going on in the room constantly. And you can keep an eye on what they're doing. The second kind of student may be a student who is nervous about the other kids in the room seeing what they're doing. Maybe it's a kid that has a little bit of anxiety, or maybe they're a perfectionist in some way. And they don't want other kids seeing what they're doing. They're the kid that's constantly getting upset when other people are seeing their work or listening to what they're doing. So they might need a little more privacy. Sometimes, most of the time, this type of student will maybe do what they're supposed to do. They might get a little off track now and then, but you're not super worried about that. These are the types of students that you want to maybe turn the desk so that it's slightly visible to you, but it allows them some privacy. So if you just walked by them, you'd be able to see what they were doing, but it's not something you'd be able to see from, say, the couch. So you want to be thinking about how you can maybe tilt that desk so that it helps support whatever kind of student you've got. The type of chair that you use for your student is going to matter. This might be difficult for families who can't just readily go out and find the perfect chair for their student. So hopefully you can decide what kind of chair you need, and maybe you'll be able to look around the house and see if you can find something that works well enough. The chair in this video is a really hard chair. You might have a student who tends to lean into the chair and get sleepy or want to try to fall asleep. So you might actually want a harder chair, and maybe a chair with no back, so that they're not falling asleep at their desk. So you might decide, instead of having a really comfortable chair, you've got something that will kind of cause them to sit up and focus a little better. I'm sure you've seen in schools, if you're in a kindergarten classroom, the chairs are really low to the ground, and then there's medium chairs and taller chairs. And that's not just because our little humans are, big or small. It's also because one of the things that's really important in a classroom is that the child's feet touch the ground. Their feet don't drag. They can't, they don't have to put their feet backward in order to sit because the chair's too short, but their feet need to be able to touch the ground. So we don't want them sitting in a chair where their feet are dangling. That's going to cause not only problems with them wiggling more, but they're going to be focusing on trying to hold their body up, and we don't want them to focus on that. You might have a child that's a wiggler. This is a kid that doesn't sit still in their chair at all, so you might decide that you need a chair that doesn't move. And or maybe you have a chair that moves and a chair that doesn't, and if your child is wiggling around in their seat too much and you really need them to sit and focus, you might switch that chair out, versus other times where maybe the teacher's reading something and it is okay for the child to rock or spin or lean back in their chair. So maybe you have two different types of chairs you use, one that kind of allows them to move around when they can, and ones that kind of sit still and don't move for those moments when they need to focus a little more. The leaning back, is it okay? We traditionally, have seen these movies where teenagers are always leaning back and leaning on their two back legs of the chair. Yes, that might not be good for the chair, or maybe the chair is sturdy enough, but it actually helps them focus a little bit more. Ironically, it's kind of a balancing thing that they're doing, and it may actually help keep the child awake and alert by allowing them to balance in their chair. That said, I wouldn't recommend that if they are on a hard floor and they're going to lean back and crack their head open. So please be careful when choosing to allow your child to lean back. But again, if you set up some ground rules around leaning back or wiggling, spinning, those sorts of things, then you can choose when to have them do it and when it's not necessary or not allowed. I'm going to go ahead and end this video right here because we are just past 10 minutes, and there are several other items on our list that we were going to discuss, so I'll do another video. If you could, please share the video, let other people know about the page, like the stuff, comment, let me know what you guys think. That would be really important to keeping this going and keeping the information pertinent, and watch for the second set of this video.